So this is the final technique about overcoming fear or eliminating phobias, and this technique is called the 6-step reframe. Now, not many people teach this technique anymore, but I still think it's very, very valid because ultimately what I'm doing with this technique is I'm actually talking to your unconscious brain. I'm negotiating with your unconscious brain, and I think this is a very, very powerful technique indeed. Now, this might be a technique where you listen through, and obviously it's difficult for me to judge exactly where you're at in this technique. So it may be that you want to listen through it, understand the technique, and then maybe ask one of your friends to go through this technique with you. It's just a series of questions, and basically you keep on asking questions until you get a yes response. You'll understand more in a second as I go through it. So the 6-step reframe, this is tool number 5. And what this is about is understanding the fact we all have split personalities. We've got different parts of our brain that have different personalities and run different aspects of our behaviour. And we need to identify which part of our brain is actually controlling the fear or the particular fear in question. And we need to ask that part of the brain to find a better way to control the fear. And then we need to test this better way of doing things. So in detail, what we do first of all is it's about negotiating with the unconscious brain. So what I want to do is establish what's called a series of yes and no signals on the fingers. Because when I go through this technique and ask you questions, I don't want you to answer out loud. Because when you answer out loud, it actually engages the conscious brain. And we don't want to talk to the conscious brain. We want to talk to the unconscious brain. Because the unconscious brain is the one that generates fear responses or phobic responses. It's an unconscious pathway. We need to negotiate with that part of the brain. We then, the first step of the 6-step reframe is to identify the part of the brain that's responsible for the fear response. We then establish that that part of the brain actually had a positive intent behind that fear response, but we do agree that there are side effects to that fear response. All this will become clear in a second. We then look at find alternative methods to keep the positive intent, to keep you safe, but also not to have the negative fear side effects, that horrible sinking feeling in your stomach, the anxiety, the adrenaline rush, that type of thing. We're then going to choose the best 3 alternative methods. We're then going to check that part of the brain is happy with those methods, and we're going to check with other parts of our personality that they're happy too. But this is going to become clear when I run through the technique with you. So the first thing we need to do is to establish 2 signals in our fingers. So what I want you to do now is yes is going to be in your index finger and no is going to be in the middle finger as per the diagram. So what I want you to now do is to place your hand palm down onto the table. And I'm going to ask you some questions like, are you a man? And you'd answer either yes or no by moving your fingers up and down, depending on what the right answer is. Are you a human? Hopefully you're going to answer yes by raising your index finger. Are you breathing? Again, hopefully you're raising your index finger to show a yes. Are you from outer space? And again, hopefully you'll raise your middle finger to show a no. So this is what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and all I want you to do is to answer yes or no by raising your fingers. So yes will be the index finger and no will be the middle finger. Okay? Now, going back to our 6-step reframe technique. So what we've now done is we've established our yes and no signals. So before we start with those signals, what I want to do is you think about the part of your brain that's responsible for the fear response or the phobic response. And we're going to give that part of the brain a name, and normally quite a silly name. So for example, the name for my part of the brain that generates a fear response, I call him Dick, because my name's Richard or Rich, and Dick obviously is another way you can refer to a Richard, and it kind of makes me laugh thinking that there's a part of my brain that's a bit stupid, so I call him Dick. But whether you want to call it Enid, Harold, Agnes, George, Harry, whatever you want to call it, whatever's right for you, just pick a name for that part of your brain that's generating the fear response. Just decide on that right now. Okay, great. So now, put your hand on the table, palm down, and just practice doing yes and no with your fingers. So yes is index finger, no is middle finger. And just gently close your eyes. Now, whatever you've called that part of your brain that generates the fear response, that silly person, I want to talk to that person right now. Now, this person, this part of your brain, now this fear response that you're generating, I believe that actually there was a positive intent behind that, wasn't there? Now show me a yes to show me there was a positive intent. If you're not sure, then just trust me. There is a positive intent behind this fear response. And that fear response is actually the positive intent is trying to keep you safe. Trying to keep you safe and secure. Do you understand? Show me a yes. That's it. Excellent. But unfortunately, this part of your brain generating the fear response, there are actually side effects, aren't there? Do you understand that there are side effects to this fear response? That's it. Show me a yes. Excellent. Now you see, the fear response makes us feel queasy, it makes us feel ill, anxious, uncertain as well. So sometimes actually, even though the intent is to keep you safe, sometimes it doesn't really work that well. Do you understand? Just show me a yes. Fantastic. So we agree that there is a positive intent, and thank you so much for keeping you safe and secure. That's great. But just be aware there's a better way of you doing this. There's a better way of you keeping you safe and secure. So what I want you to do now is there's another part of your brain that we're going to call the creative part of your brain. And you're going to go off now and have a little chat with them. You're going to say, look, this is what I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to keep them safe and secure, but there are these side effects at the moment. They're really not working very well. So creative brain, could you give me loads and loads of different examples where I can keep this person safe, but there aren't these horrible fear side effects? Do you understand? So off you go now. Go and have a chat with the creative brain. Say, creative brain, give me loads and loads of different examples where I can keep this person safe, but there isn't this fear response. Just go off and just whiz through them now. Your creative brain is really, really good at this. It's going to give you loads of different things. You don't need to know the details. It's just going to feed you loads of different ones. Here's a few more. Just say, here's just a few more and some more. Getting them all in now. That's it. Just keep collecting loads and loads of different ways to keep you safe, but without the fear response. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Excellent. Now, this is the clever bit. What you're now going to do is to look at all these different ways of doing it, and you're going to choose the best three. The three that you think are best at keeping this person safe, but not having the fear response. And you choose whatever three you think are right for you, and just go through, sift through now, keep finding, keep working through. And when you've got the three, just show me a yes response to the finger. Just take your time. Take your time and work your way through all of those different responses and just choose what you think are the best three. And again, you don't need to know the details. That's it. Just choose the best three and then just show me a yes. Fantastic. Now, all you've got to do is this. I want you to think about using these three alternative methods rather than the old method for the next 3 weeks. Think about that right now. And think about whether there's any side effects that you really don't like about these three methods. If there are some side effects, go back to the creative brain's responses and pick some better ones. Just pick the better ones until you find three. Work through the three. Check those three for the next 3 weeks. Make sure there's no negative side effects and say, yeah, actually, these are pretty good. These are certainly better than the old one. And actually, these three are pretty good. So if you're happy with these three, using these three for the next 3 weeks, go off and check all different parts of your brain. All different parts of your brain. Say, look, my intent is to keep this person safe and secure. I've got these 3 new ways of doing that, which are much better than the old way, which used to generate this horrible fear response. But these 3 don't actually do that. And I'm going to try them for the next 3 weeks. Are you okay with that too? Check with all the parts of the brain. If there's a problem, then just go back to all the creative choices again. Just work through again, pick a better 3, check with yourself the next 3 weeks, and then check with all the parts of your brain and keep rotating through and around until you find 3 that work for you and 3 that work for all other parts of your brain. Then after that, it's very, very simple. You try them for 3 weeks. If after 3 weeks you're not happy with one of the methods, just go and choose another one and test that one and so on and so forth. But if these 3 work really well after 3 weeks, then shall we just agree to carry them forward for the rest of your life, keeping this person safe and secure, but with no fear response anymore. And that is the 6-step reframe. So again, you can open your eyes and blink a few times. And that was tool number 5 for reducing fear or eliminating phobias. And that was module 5. Thank you.